The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Richland Fire and Emergency Services Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38818. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. First, let's take a few pictures here of the truck on the driver's side cab area. Then we'll move to the midship area. And then we'll take a look at the rear portion of the body on the driver's side. Let's move around now to the rear of the apparatus. And then we'll move over to the passenger side. Full view, body section next. Midship area. And then front cab area. Let's go ahead and get started with some of the details here. Let's start at the front of the vehicle, and we'll start with the front bumper. Starting first on the passenger and driver's side outer edge of the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns. Just inside that location on the officer side, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Directly in the center on the face of the front bumper, your mechanical siren. Moving up to the cab onto the outer edge, you'll find a marker light turn indicator. Just inside that location is your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam will be located on the inside. As we move up from the headlight, you'll find emergency warning light cluster forward facing. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. And then up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located inside the light bar in the center is your traffic emitter opticom. Let's move around now to the driver's side of the vehicle. We'll go inside the cab now, but first let's start at the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch. Just above that, you'll find a grab handle and electric window control for all 4 cab windows. Moving now into the driver's space. Let's start first with just a quick view, and then we'll move down to the step well where you'll find your air inlet in the upper left-hand corner. As we move to the step area just above this location, you'll find a flashlight. Moving just inside the cab in the lower floor area is where you'll find this yellow placard indicating on this your date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and then also fluid type. As we move to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find the master battery switch, quarter turn, tech module, engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port. Just below that, you'll find the ABS diagnostic, DPF regen, engine diagnostic, and regen inhibit switch along with the display port. Just up from this location, you're going to find the rumbler. And then also on the opposite side of the steering column is your pump shift. You'll find instructions here from road to pump, and then also from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need 2 green indicators illuminating, 1 pump engaged and 2 OK to pump for pump operations. Let's move now up to the right-hand side of this location where you'll find the mirror control for your flat mirror. This is for both left and right mirror. As we move to the dash cluster on the left-hand side, you'll find the ignition and start switch. Just inside that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. It turns on and off all emergency lights with 1 button. To the right, headlights and also panel light. On the opposite side of the column, OK to engage the high idle indicator and switch. To the dash cluster, you'll find transmission, oil, def level, and water temp. On the right, you'll find volts, fuel, front air, rear air. In the very center, you're going to find the tachometer and speedometer in the center area. Below and above that is where you'll find tally light information. And also in the very center section, you'll find a digital readout. Let's move just to the right of the operator's space. General view. We'll start first at the very top section with your command zone. This is a display with a tremendous amount of information. It is not only a touchscreen, but also has function buttons below. As we move just below that, you'll find some switches for your mechanical siren, siren brake, engine brake on and off switch, engine brake settings for low, medium, and high, off-road traction, and mirror heat. Pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. This is your rear brake spring brake. Moving to the right, you'll find the Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout, informational note to pump in drive. To the right, climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving further to the right, you'll find the control module for your inverter. Toward the officer side, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style on USB and also a push button for your siren brake. In the very front section, you'll find these red and white indicator warning. Spare wiring is behind this panel. It does have the option number and additional information regarding the intent or use of that wire. As we move overhead of the driver's position, let's start first with the height of the vehicle. Starting at 10 feet, 3 inches, length 32 feet, 0 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 45,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may alter any of these height, length, or gross vehicle weight rating, please update this placard for your operator. Moving further to the right to the switch panels, you'll find Emergency Master, Load Manager, Tire Chains, Air Horn, Driver Side, Scene Lights, and Passenger Side Scene Lights. When any of these switches have been activated, the light will illuminate, indicating that the function has been turned on. Moving further to the right, you'll find the control module for your siren and PA speaker system, AM/FM weather band radio. Additional information here regarding a warning: do not remove this. Spare wiring is located behind this panel along with the option number. We do have a speaker located in the ceiling area. This is going to be for your radio system. Also in the very center, you'll find a red light. If flashing, it means do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment open or door ajar. Air conditioning unit located in the very center section. Let's spin around and take a look to the rear wall where you'll find a roll-up compartment. Also, you'll find a fold-up seat located on the passenger side. Directly behind the officer seat, you'll find 110 power via shoreline and also inverter, 12-volt access via a bus bar. Let's move to the exterior of the apparatus on the driver's side where you'll find your shoreline inlet. This is a 20 amp plug. As we move down, we'll find your Michelin tires, steel wheel, and a visual sight gauge indicator in the center of the axle area. Let's move into the rear cab section next, starting first with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window control, door lock and latch, and a grab handle. Overhead inside the cab, you'll find push on and off red or white lens lights, your air conditioning unit. 2 rear-facing seats that do house SCBAs and heaters below them. On an angle, you'll find an SCBA bracket located here on the rear wall. As we move to the engine tunnel, you'll find 3 portable radio chargers. At the rear of this, you'll find your access lift and turn latch gains you access into the space for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Moving now to the rear cab with the roll-up compartment door open, we have LED lighting on both sides, adjustable shelves, 12-volt power via a bus bar, and then as we move to the opposite side of the compartment on the rear wall, you'll also find we have shoreline and inverter outlet. We're now moving to the exterior of the vehicle, to the pump panel area. On the walkway area in the step, you'll find both on passenger and driver side additional storage location. Let's take a quick look at the pump panel, and we'll start with identifying a few items within this area. First, let's start on the right side of the pump panel. As you stand at it, you'll find the driver side auxiliary inlet. All of our color-coded and labeled discharges. Just to point out, the red indicating foam is capable on that individual discharge. As we move to the left, you'll find the real discharge. It is also foam capable. Deluge discharge. Pressure throttle governor encompassed with inside the pressure throttle governor. You'll also find a water tank level indicator. Also, fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. To the right, you'll find the tank to pump. And then further to the right, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Let's move just to the left on the pump panel toward the passenger side, where you'll find your Husky 3 foam system specifications. Additional discharges located here. Just as a reminder, the red is indicating that that discharge independently is foam capable. Also, passenger side auxiliary inlet. As we move up onto the pump panel, you'll find the open and close for your rear inlet, and then also the passenger main inlet, which is an electric valve, open and close. To the red module, this is your Husky 3 foam system. There are operating instructions and also information regarding the Husky system, and also you'll find fluid level for foam level tank A. Master intake gauge, master discharge gauge, test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. These are currently plugged and utilized for testing purposes. Just down at the very bottom, you'll find an audible speaker. The bezel around the edge does rotate, allow you to increase or decrease sound. Moving to the right, we have a primer shutoff to isolate the primer. And then at the very top, we have an engine cooler and also the primer button on the right-hand side. For best practices, at least 1,000 RPM. Let's move just to the right of this location, where you'll find some switch panels here in the gray module, panel lights, OK to pump indicator, and also pole lights. To the far right, you'll find the driver main inlet. This is an electric valve, minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over in just a moment, and also a warning: only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after proper training. The watcher's placard is indicating the type of pump that you have and also the capacity, 1,500 GPMs. To the minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left is the associated GPM at that test pressure. On the right is the associated RPM at that test pressure. The vehicle governs speed while in pump mode, 2,400 RPM. As we look now to the upper and lower section of our crosslays, I would like to point out a few warnings regarding fall hazard when climbing onto the vehicle. Always face the vehicle. And then also warning: entanglement hazard. Lines could cause entanglement as they come from aloft. As we move inside to the pump panel area, we have an additional access here. These are both pan doors open. As we move now to the driver's side discharge number 1, which is a 2.5 foam capable. Also warning regarding pressure hazard: caps may be under pressure. Because the large diameter inlet on this side is electric, we do have an override for that valve. Let's move just to the right, where you'll find the driver's side number 2 discharge and also a direct tank fill for garden hose. As we look to the rear inside the pan door, you'll find your relief valve. There is the adjustment located on the very back side of the relief valve. Driver's side auxiliary inlet, 2.5-inch female, and also your draft foam tank lever and inlet. Also a warning regarding foam failure: do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Moving down to the right-hand side, where you'll find a pan door, at the very top section you'll find a foam drain. There's also a yellow handle here. This is for your foam system. It's either in a foam fill position or in an operational position. To guide you, there is a schematic located on the back side of the door, which is located here. Let's move just to the right of the lower section of the pump panel, where you'll find the watcher's placard. Moving to the right, you'll find the pump drain. And then just at the very bottom lower right-hand corner is where you'll find the manual pump shift. As we move just below the running board, you'll find 3 drains located: driver's side auxiliary inlet, foam pump discharge drain, and foam pump intake drain. Now moving into the compartment on the rear wall of the compartment. First, let's start on the left-hand side for your generated power. This is the electrical panel box. Just to the right of that location is where you'll find your inverter. As we move downward from this location, you'll find a pull-out and tilt downward tray, which does have a pegboard back on the floor of it. As we move to the over wheel compartment, you'll find an adjustable tray and then also LED lighting. Moving to the forward section of the axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 3 bottles. Michelin tire, steel wheel. Moving to the rear portion is where your fill location will be. Ultra low sulfur is the silver cap. As we move the flap downward, it exposes the blue cap, which is a 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Also SCBA bottle storage in the upper left-hand side. Let's move now to the very rear compartment where you'll find adjustable trays, and then at the very bottom section, a pull-out tray. Also within inside this compartment, you have Shoreline inverted power. When the tray is pulled to its full extension, it will lock into position. The release is located on the very right-hand side. Let's take a look at all compartments open now on the driver's side, and then we'll move around to the rear of the apparatus next. General view. Let's start first down in the lower corner where you'll find two cupped switches. Those switches are for the rear scene and hose bed lights. As we move back up to your hose bed, you'll find a total of 5 hose bed dividers. They are movable. As we move further down, you'll find a couple warning placards. Let's start with this on the left, entanglement hazard, because the line's coming from aloft. There's the possibility of entanglement. Also, fall injury, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. And also fall when climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move to the center, you'll find your backup camera with a protected shroud. And then moving further to the right, you'll find a large diameter inlet. That's at the very top section, and then just below that, you'll find a pressure warning hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Let's move down to the very bottom section of the compartment where you have a roll-up compartment door and then a pull-out tray on the lower right-hand side. That tray will also lock into position. The release is located on the lower right. As we move around to the passenger side, rear compartment, you'll find 2 adjustable and then also a pass-through into the center compartment. As we move to the rear portion just underneath this compartment, because of that inlet, we do have an air inlet bleed. Moving now to the over wheel compartment is where you'll find your tool board. D-handle gains you access into this space. When it's fully open, it will lock into position. On the hinge side is where the lock is located. To the rear of the axle, SCBA bottle storage here for 3 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. Moving back down to the wheel itself, Michelin tire, steel wheel. Let's move forward to this location where you'll find SCBA bottle storage for up to 3 bottles with retaining straps. Just in front of the axle is where you'll find the exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Please be cautious where you choose to park your vehicle, especially for regen operation. Let's move now into the upper portion of the compartment where you'll find an adjustable shelves, LED lighting, and now let's move to the pump panel. As we move to the very top section, this is where your booster line location is. Captivate on all 4 corners there for the hose, grab handle, and then pull light. The real rewind is located on the pump panel. To the right, you'll find the powered equipment rack. There are instructions for its operation for raise and lower. Also some danger placard because of its movement. In addition, below that, you'll find the cab lift instructions on the placard for raise and lower. Some caution and danger, also due to its mechanical in nature. As we move down, you'll find a warning regarding entanglement hazard. That's because the line's coming from aloft on the front pre-connects. As we look into the pan door, this is the hydraulic equipment rack reservoir, and here is a plaque indicating the type of hydraulic oil. As we move now to the passenger side, large diameter inlet. Now moving to the 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. Moving further up, entanglement warning. And then also at the very bottom, pressure hazard warning. As we move to the very bottom of the passenger side pump panel, you'll find all of our color-coded labeled discharge drains, in addition with the passenger side auxiliary inlet, female 2.5. The very underside, you'll find the rear inlet drain. There are 2 of those located on that side. As we move into the cab section, let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, window control and grab handle. Air conditioning located in the center. Moving now to the inside compartment. This is a ventilated compartment. You can see the vents here on the rear roll-up compartment door. As we move forward, we have 2 rear-facing SCBA seats. Moving now to the front axle, where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator in the center of the axle. And now let's move into the officer space. First, let's start with the door panel. A fixed door panel, Once again, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch combination, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we move into the step wheel area, you'll find a charging location for your flashlight. And then as we move to the very front section, you'll find a charging station here for a portable radio. The vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system and airbag located here in the front bolster. Also below that, you'll find a warning placard here regarding that SRS system. To the right, on the A pillar, is where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Let's move just to the left of the officer seat, where you'll find some push buttons for your mechanical siren, air horn, and rumbler. Let's go ahead and go overhead of the officer seat. Those are those red and white candy cane labels indicating spare wiring. Moving further to the right, or left I should say, we have a switch panel here for emergency master, electronic siren, AM/FM radio, driver scene, and passenger scene. Additional access here for spare wiring. And then as we move just to the left is where you'll find the mobile radio unit head system. Also just underneath this, on the vertical surface, is where you'll find the audible speaker. Let's go ahead and move to the exterior now of the truck. All compartments open. And then let's move to the ladder rack. On the ladder rack itself, you'll find a 24-foot extension ladder, 14-foot roof ladder, 10-foot folding attic ladder, long-handled tools. There are 3 located on the upper portion. As we move to the rear portion of the cab area, you'll find storage location for a little giant or folding ladder. As we move on top of the cab area, I would like to point out this is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these identifying that space. As we move to the dunnage area, you'll find your booster reel and also the master stream device with an extend-a-gun. Also in this area is the hydraulic reservoir for your Husky 3 foam system. Moving further into the dunnage area, you'll find top fill for the water tank and foam. Let's go ahead and take a look at the foam tank. This is your Class A foam tank. We do have a warning on it indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. This is the top fill for your water tank. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear of the apparatus, hose bed cover here in the open position, and you'll find the hose bed dividers, which are movable. We do have 2 discharges located in the very front section, identified here at the front bulkhead, and then 1 on the other side at the front bulkhead. Total of 3 into the hose bed area. The next set of images are going to be that of the chassis with the cab tilted and under portion. Let's start first. If your vehicle needs to be towed, these are the 2 locations for towing. As we move to the left side, this is the rumbler and then also cab lift cylinder. Just on information on lifting your cab, once the cab has been fully upright lifted, go ahead and place the safety bar into position. Do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Maintain equal pressure in both right and left cab cylinders. As we move to the engine itself, let's take a look at some items. In the very front section, this is the radiator overflow. As we move to the very far right, this is the fill location and visual sight gauge for the radiator. Moving just to the rear, this is your power steering fluid reservoir. And then moving further to the rear, you'll find oil and transmission dipsticks. Let's move around to the driver's side frame rail, where you'll find the batteries. Located in the base of the battery box is where you'll find positive and negative jumper studs. Also in the same area, you'll find their hydraulic reservoir for the cab lift. There'll be no additional audio from this point on. This will complete the additional chassis photos. Congratulations, Richland Fire and Emergency Services, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38818. If you have any questions, please contact your Hughes Fire Equipment sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.